We are now on round 15. You can see where I just slip stitched and I chained 2. Now at this point, this is what should have like a stiff bucket kind of. And what you're gonna do is take 2 stitch markers. So we're gonna place these stitch markers to determine where our opening is gonna be. So once you have this is your face opening, you are basically going to work your round just as you have been up to your first stitch marker and into your stitch marker, by the way. And that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so we are approaching the stitch marker, and like I said, we're going to work into that stitch as well. Which for me is going to be, so that was the last one, and then this next stitch is the one that the marker is in. And I am going to, I'm notorious for leaving my stitch markers. If you can get to a point where you're just as neat by leaving your stitch markers, I strongly recommend that you do it. So now, just to remind myself, I'm going to look at how many I had in between these two. I think it was 17, but just to double check, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, it's actually 16. I'm going to yarn over in preparation to go into the stitch that's marked, which is this one. Now this is a front post, so I'm going to literally pick up where I left off with the pattern sequence. And I'm going to complete the remainder of this round per the sequence from the round before. Okay, so now I'm back to the beginning of my round. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch I made of the round, and that round is complete. Now, here is where, for the next round, what you're going to do is the same thing. You're going to continue working your stitch pattern. When you get to this point, you are going to work a double crochet into each one of these chains. We're going to set that to the side. I'm going to pull this one out to show you. Excuse me. Now, let me get my yarn. You can see I did some color changing on this one. I have, whenever I work with red for some reason, and whenever I work with camo, I always want them together for some reason. Anyway, so this first row is the one I just showed you that I worked. So I chained however many stitches I chained. You can see that I worked a double crochet across that chain, and I literally just resumed my work all the way around, right? And then I actually kept working because we're working in a round, and we're not turning after every round. We're not doing any of that. We're literally just working in round and round, chaining up and keeping going, continuing. Okay, so here is my start point, right? So this was that chained row. This row was where I worked into each one. This next row, I continued the same way. When I got to that chained area, I continued my stitch sequence, my pattern sequence. So the last one that I had in my stitch work was a 1. So here I worked a post on that first stitch into my chain, and here I worked into the stitch twice. I worked the post once, post twice, post once. I did that all the way around until I got here. Basically your pattern should continue as you go around. You're going to finish. For me, I actually switched back to my original color at this point, and as you can see, I'm working continuing to work around. Now let's count the number of rows, because after this part, this is the opening. So after this part, what you are going to be doing is adding this length, the majority of this length, to your hat. So this is where I chained, right? And you can see, so I'll just give you a heads up, we will be adding edging around the opening after we're done with everything. But at this point, for this hat, you can see that I am, how far? I am 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 4 rows beneath it, right? So 1, 2, 3, I'm here. So from here, I want you to continue working. That's 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to work an additional 10 rows. So I'm definitely going to do a part 3 because I'm going to save the decreasing until that point. So you're going to work an additional 10 rows after, so including the row that you work into your chain. So that's the first row, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. So you're going to work an additional 10 rows. So, okay. And the next time we meet up, we will go over this tapering, how we achieve this tapering. We will go over the places where we need to add edging to finish off the hat. Okay, ladies and gents, we are going to just pick right back up where we left off. The last time I spoke to you, I told you to go ahead after your chain and work 10 rows. Just to confirm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next part, as promised, is that I'm going to show you how and where to place your decreases, as well as to kind of get that shaping going, as well as an option for you if you wish to make it a bit wider at the bottom but still want some, maybe a softer shaping. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So we've gone ahead and slip stitched into the top of the first double crochet here. Let's flip this over into the top of the double crochet here, and I have chain 2, which I'm going to go ahead and do again for you. Chain 2, and we are going to, so I want to give you a little game plan. So what we're going to be doing is, you see here we have a double crochet, and then we have a front post double crochet, and then we have 2 double crochets, front post 1, front post 2, front post 1. So where you're going to work your decreases is going to be in the spaces where you have 2 double crochets together. The option that I was speaking of, which I may or may not do, is going to be that you stagger your decreases. So if you don't want to draw in your shaping too much, or you would just like it to be a softer transition, what you can do is you can work a double crochet here, a front post double crochet here. You can double crochet these 2 stitches together. You're going to repeat with a front post here, a double crochet here, and then you're not going to decrease the next. So basically you're going to decrease every second set of 2 double crochets. So let me just do that to show you. So we have our chain 2 here after our slip stitch. We're going to go ahead and place a double crochet into this first double crochet. We're going to place a front post double crochet on the post next to it. We're going to double crochet these 2 stitches together. So I don't teach stitching here, but just do this slow once. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook as though we're going to create a double crochet. We're going to pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. We are not going to complete this double crochet. Instead, we're going to begin the next one. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, and pull up a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2. This is how your work should look. And then you're going to yarn over and complete both of those double crochets. And that is what creates your 2 double crochets together, and thereby the decrease that's necessary. So we're going to continue on by working a post next. And then you should have 1 double crochet. We're going to work 1 double crochet there. And then we're going to work another post, so a front post double crochet. And then here's where we get to the point that I was referring to. On this one, if you want a dramatic decrease, you can double crochet these 2 stitches together. If you do not, what you're going to do is work a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, like so. So if we look at our work, you will see that we followed our pattern. We only have 1 decrease done so far. So in a way, our sequence, if you are staggering your decreases, is going to be a double crochet, a front post double crochet, double crochet 2 together, front post double crochet, double crochet, front post double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then front post double crochet, and then you're going to repeat. So that would be your sequence. So let me look back at my work, see if we did that correctly. So we have a double crochet, front post, double crochet 2 together, front post, double crochet, front post, double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, front post, double crochet, front post, double crochet 2 together, front post. And that was the end of the sequence. Let's see, and then you just repeat that all the way around until you get back to the beginning, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of your chain 3, your initial your first double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and continue repeating this sequence. If you're ever confused about where you are, just look back. If you're following what I'm teaching here, just look back at your last sets of 2. So here you can see that I went into both stitches, and then here you can see I did these 2 together. So here, my next set of 2, I'm going to put together. So we have 2 here, 1 here, post, and then we're going to go ahead and do 2 together, and then a post, and then a single, and then a post, and then 1 into each of the next 2, and then another post, and then a single, a post. And what did we just do? So I'm going to do 2 together here, here's what I have left. Let's go ahead and finish this round up. And we have returned back to the beginning. My last stitch is a front post double crochet. Go ahead and work that. And now I am ready to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the first. Here's my first double crochet, and I'm slip stitching into the top of that stitch. You then are going to go ahead and chain 2, and you are going to follow your stitch sequence. So you're not going to work any more decreases on your next round. You're going to do what we were doing here. So you're going to basically work whatever is in the prior stitch. So for me, I am going to proceed to place a double crochet in that first stitch. I'm going to look at what's next. Next, I have this post. I'm going to work a front post double crochet in the next stitch. And then I have one, this is now one stitch. So now I'm going to work a double crochet into that stitch, a front post into the next stitch, onto the next post. I'm going to work a double crochet into every double crochet and a front post double crochet onto every front post double crochet all the way around until I reach the beginning. So if you did decreases in between each one of your posts, then you are going to work one double crochet in between each one of your posts, because you turned that 2 double crochets in the last round into a single double crochet. If you followed what I did, which was stagger my decreases, you are going to have one post, one post, one post, 2 posts, and then it'll repeat. So the next step that you'll be doing on your hat, these are the finishing pieces. Now I want to say real quick, you're going to continue to work rounds until this hat reaches as long as you would like it to. So that is going to vary per what you desire the length to be. This hat can be, this mask hat, tam, can be as long as you want. It can be as short as you want. So if you wanted to stop just like under the chin, then you may want to do maybe 5 rounds. If you wanted to go longer, for mine, I wanted more like a scarf, and I wanted, I have locks, so I wanted it to be a long hat, so that when I wanted to wear it as a tam as opposed to a mask or as a hat, that I would have the length to be able to do that and still have a little bit of hang comfortably. But that is completely up to you. So like I said, you're going to continue to work rounds until you're pleased with the length. After you reach your desired length, you are going to, so we're going to move on to a hat that I'm further along on so that I can show you these next steps and we don't have to have another video. So once you get to your desired length, okay, so let's say that this is my desired length. You can see my tapering on this hat. You can see where it the shaping goes in at this point. And once you get to that point, you are going to do 2 things. We're going to add a row of edging around the face opening of our hat. And we are also going to work one final row of, you have an option here. You can do half double crochets. I prefer half double crochets. That's what I'll be doing here because it has slightly more stretch than a single crochet. If you see, this is intended, it's going to automatically relax and get wider over time. However, I still want it to have a certain level of stretch. I don't want it to kind of lock or be restrictive as I wear it. So what I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'm going to work a round of half double crochets as my finishing stitch. Depending on, this is a place to really get creative. You can do some extended stitches, which a half double extended stitch is basically yarn over, insert your hook, and you're going to pull through the first loop on the hook, leaving 3, and then complete your half double. That's basically what an extended half double. It's slightly, not very much, slightly taller than your single crochet stitch. The taller your stitches are, the more stretch you end up with, and that's just a matter of the height of the stitch. It creates more space in between the stitches, so it's not actually more stretchy, it's just that you have more space in between the stitches to work with. So I'm just going to pull some more yarn real quick, and we're going to continue around, completing half double crochets into each stitch. And I'm going to come back with you, and we're going to move once I complete this round. I'm going to come back and we're going to briefly go over rejoining and adding and edging around the face opening. Okay, so we're back. You can see where I have gone ahead and fastened off here. I completed my round of half double crochets, one half double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and now we are going to rejoin into the face opening to work a finishing edge to that. Now for mine, I think that I want to go ahead and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do the gray because I have it here mostly. I may come back in and do a second round in the gold. I haven't decided. If I do, I'll probably put one here as well. I just want to show you, this is the stretch. This is where we are with this one so far. You can see I haven't removed my stitch markers. Now for this portion, what we're going to do is work with the hat facing out, so the right side out. You can see the inside there. And what we're going to do, if you look here, we are going to rejoin. I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch markers because I don't need them anymore. So what we're going to do is we are going to rejoin. So if you spread your work out a little bit, you'll see that you have stitch, 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 and then you have the side of this double crochet. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually rejoin on this first side stitch. And because we want our work to be right side out, we're going to actually come on this side. You can come on this side and do it and work in this direction, or you can stay on that side and you just want to make sure that you're not working what am I thinking? You don't want to work on the inside. So you don't want to start like this, because if you do, then the wrong side of the stitch will end up on the outside. So what you want to do is make sure that you are starting here and that your hook is going into the work from the right side into the work and not from the inside out. I hope that makes sense. So here's my yarn. I don't teach joining. You can use whatever method works for you. Because you're here, I will share with you a method I picked up. I was watching I'm probably going to annihilate this, amigurumi video out of curiosity. I'm not interested in that particular craft. I do think that it's amazing, and I think the people who do it are amazing too. However, I think you can get tips and tools from everywhere. So I picked up my favorite way of joining yarn, and basically you insert your hook, you have a loop here, you put that loop in, you pull it up, and then you yarn over both and pull up one stitch. Now then you pull that tight. Now here's where things get tricky. Well, they don't get tricky, but here's the part that I think will probably stop a lot of people from doing it. I love it because I don't end up with any tails, and that makes me really happy. I take a smaller hook, and what I do is I take my tail, and she said a reason for this. Don't ask me what that reason is. But basically for that particular specialty, what you want to do is basically thread your tail into several stitches. So what I do is I pull my tail through several stitches as instructed Trying to do this around the camera is proving to be an adventure. However, I'm still going to do it. And basically all I'm doing is just a quick wrap around. This one is a little different because these aren't stitches yet. This is the edging for the chain that we made. But basically I'm going to go through maybe 5 or 6 of these. And then I want to show you what it looks like before I start working backwards. You can barely tell. Then in the next one, I'm going to come from the front and I'm going to basically go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to come back through the same ones that I've already done. Okay. And then I'll show you how it ends up looking as I start to work around. Now the headache, of course you can do this with a darning needle, which actually is a little easier generally, just because this being a small hook, it does get caught in your stitches sometimes, so it can take a little bit of time. To me, this time is worth it, primarily because I don't end up with a tail that needs to be sewn in. I also find because I make garments that the integrity of doing this, basically you're going to pay on the front end or the back end. Okay, so I don't cut it until after I've worked a few stitches, but here's what I'm left with. And just to show you what it looks like, that's what it looks like. Okay, so no, you weren't here for this, but I thought I would share. So I've rejoined my yarn. Now we are going to be doing single crochets. I guess you could have double crochets. I haven't tried it. Definitely comment below if you try it, or you try a decorative stitch or anything like that. At this point, I would love to see your results. You can tag me as well. I'll list my handles in the description box. Okay, so at this point this does not count as a chain. It can, I don't. You're going to chain 1. And then you're going to, remember, we're on the side of a double crochet. So you're going to actually place 2 single crochets here. Then you are going to work a single crochet across, this is your chain for your face. You're going to work a single crochet on top of each of these double crochets. So you see this little hump here? You're going to work a single crochet into each one of these. Yes, you are going to, depending on how tight your tension is, you are going to need to kind of wiggle your hook down in there. That is normal. But you're going to continue working along this face opening and along the opposite side of the chain that we made when we were creating our face opening. Okay, and I will show you what mine looks like once we get to the end of this part. Okay, so first of all, this is what it looks like. This is my edging. Here's where we started. We are now back to that double crochet row, and we have the double crochet opposite the one we started on. So just like we did on the other side, we're going to work 2 single crochets along the side of this double crochet. Now you are not working, you see this little hole here? That is not the post of your double crochet. This is. So your 2 single crochets are going to go in there. Now we're on the top of our hat. Now you'll notice immediately we have actual stitches on this side. So because we have actual stitches, there's no need to do anything. We've done the difficult part, which is part of the reason that's why I started on that side. I like to get that out the way. But basically you're going to complete the round by single crocheting into each stitch across the top of the opening of your hat. Okay, I am back around to the beginning of my round. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that I worked. And I am going to, you can fasten off. Like I said, I haven't decided if I'm going to do a final round of gold around that opening or not. Just to show you, that's how our hat is looking. That's how it looks with the edging added. If you are done at this point, you can go ahead and fasten off. You then want to turn your entire hat inside out, and you want to use your darning needle to sew all of your ends, your loose ends, which you shouldn't have that many. You have the one that we use at the very beginning, for your magic circle. We also have, if you did, no, you shouldn't have any, because for those of you who did not change colors, you won't have this. So I have these two where I changed my colors. I joined a new color, and then everyone will have the last two that we just did, which is the final after you add your edging on the bottom of your opening, as well as after adding the edging to the face opening. I think that is it. You are good to go once you have sewn in your ends. Like I said, I will add my handles for social media in the description box. I would love to see you guys' creations on Instagram or Facebook or both. Please drop your comments below. If there are other tutorials or techniques you would like for me to consider creating video for, please let me know. I also wanted to just take a moment to apologize for the time between the last part 1 and this one. That's part of the reason I went ahead and did part 2 and 3 as one video, but I do hope that doesn't deter you from coming back to visit me again. I want to thank you for supporting Posh Panache by viewing this video, as well as sharing it with those you think would benefit from it, as well as subscribing. If you would like to be notified of the content that I add, you can hit the bell. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day on purpose. Bye.